All right, let's try this again. So I want to show you basically a walkthrough of how to do the style guide. You'll notice on the Canvas module and also on the assignment page for the style guide for the monster. Um, well, I will have this video posted, but also you're going to be able to find this style guide template. And then I will also include this basic monster style guide. So let me show you what's on the style guide, the finished one, and then I'll walk through and show you how I did that. So first of all, I have my swatches here at the top, and you can see I've used the hex code for each of those, and I'll show you how to find that. And then I've made that hex code color the fill color. Not every assignment is going to include every piece that is on this style guide. So you are welcome to either delete that section or just put an NA by it. So we have our swatches. And then if you're repeating any shapes or insignias, you can put samples of those here. For the typography, if you are going to use different fonts or different sizes or weights of text, this is where you would put a sample of the actual font, what it looks like, and then you can put the font name and any details, like if it's bold or italic or anything on this side. Next would be the page information. We're not really using columns or rows or anything like that for the monster, so I'm just going to leave this as not applicable. On the second page, you're going to detail the different iterations of your project. So you can see I started out with my first initial thumbnails of the monster, and I have several there to choose from. And then you're going to put your design notes and choice notes here on the right-hand side of that iteration. Next, I moved on to my first iteration. I'm telling why I chose this one out of my others, what I like about it, what I want to do, what I changed. Moving on to my second iteration, you can see I've added some clothing and a few details, which I've detailed over here. And there's my final iteration of my monster, and talked about why I chose the colors I did and kind of the color scheme. He's kind of monochromatic on all the parts of him, and then monochromatic on his clothing. And then if you did anything extra beyond that, you can include or create another row in that table and talk about that and why you went on or what's different from your previous iteration. So this is going to be a help to you see your process as you went through, and it's also a help to me that I can see how you developed your monster or whatever project this is applicable to for you and the steps you followed. Be sure that you include design notes for every step of the way and talk about how you changed your design. Some changes are really subtle, but they make a very big difference on the image, and it's important to detail those. Imagine if you were working in a design company or with a design team, and you have these meetings periodically and get feedback, and then you update, and this is kind of keeping track of that as if you would do working on a design team. As I mentioned, I've already given you the link to the template for Word that you can download. You're welcome to use that, or you can create your own as long as it has the details that are needed for this, for the style guide for your monster. So the first thing I'm going to do, and this will show up on my other screen, I'll show you in just a second. I go to my style guide folder, and in that I have saved each one of those images, so I can just pop them into my style guide template. But before I put them into the template, let's see if we can get these organized here. We move that out of the way. Okay. I am actually going to use the Adobe Color Wheel, and you can get to that just on a web browser. That opened up. I'm going to make that full screen so you can see it well. And you can see you've got some options up here. You've got Color Wheel, Extract a Theme. I want to extract a theme from a picture, so I'm going to click on that one. And then I'm going to take my final thumbnail or my final project and just drop it in there. And you can see it's done a pretty good job of automatically choosing the colors. It's missed my really dark blue color up here. So all I need to do with that is tell it that I want another color. And let me see here. No, I think I'll just go with that palette. It has pretty much what I need on it. So I'm going to look at these hex codes here at the bottom of each of those colors. And I'm going to scooch this to my other screen. If you don't have a second screen, you might want to write them down someplace on a piece of paper or copy and paste them. So I'm just copying them over out of my browser. My gosh, it's being ornery. Come on. There we go. And I'll just paste in that hex code that I got. So I'm going to do that with all of the colors when I'm doing my finished. Right now, I'm actually just going to do a couple of them so you don't have to watch me do that whole thing. Goodness. Okay. So there are a couple of my codes. So then I'm going to go within this area. I'm going to select that circle and I'm going to right click. When I do that, this little extra toolbar pops up that you can see fill. And then when that pops up, I'm going to say more fill colors. I'm going to go to custom, and right down here where it says hex, I'm going to type in that code that we copied already. So 0D518C. And when I hit OK, there that color is filling in my swatch. I don't care if you use round swatches or square or whatever, just so you do have a sample of that color. And you do have that way to identify it with the hex code. We'll do one more of it. So I'm going to select the circle, right click on fill, more fill colors, custom, and we'll come down and type that hex code in, 1A80D9. And there I've got my next color in. So that's how you're going to do your swatches. If I were doing repeating shapes or something, I would either just pop the graphic in here, or I would actually create a table that had as many cells as I want across, because that would start to constrain the images so it doesn't just get in there and, you know, throw off your scale on everything else. Since I'm not using that for this project, I'm just going to say NA. And for now, I'm just going to delete out that extra stuff. Looks like we've got a table hiding there. And I'll cut that. Okay, in typography, I'm not using that for my monster. So again, I'm not applicable. And I'm going to delete that table. Same thing on page information. I like to type next to it for some reason. Of all of this stuff. Well, a little too much. It took us up to a column. Okay, let's see what that does. Well, anyway, you can play with that. On the second page, you can see that I put the table in. So again, your image is going to be pasted into the left side, and your design notes need to be there for each step of the way, and that will be in the boxes on the right side. If you need to add more beyond that final iteration, just get in the last box and hit tab, and that will add a whole nother row if you want to add more information. So that is basically how to complete this starter style guide. Like I say, you're welcome to use that, or you're welcome to create your own style as long as it has all the information it needs. Don't forget that you can use this Adobe Color, and there's a link for this in the module, but you can also just type in Adobe Color Wheel to a browser search and it will pull that in. You can also pull gradients from things if you're interested in that, or you can go straight to the color wheel. And you remember we talked about these different color harmonies in the first week of class. So you can come down and find, let's say, complementary colors. And you can move that around, and it's going to find that whole set and create that color scheme for you. Let's try a triad. And again, there you go, and it's giving you those colors, and you can see it shifting my color scheme as we go along. So hopefully that's going to help you with your style guide and also finding color schemes in the future. And as always, let me know if you have any questions. I am always happy to help you with your questions or anything that you might need.